up, China Tzu Chi volunteers continue to care for burn victims of last year's BRT accident. We meet Professor Ye Yilong, who helped set up disaster prevention plans in 21 locations around Pingtung. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. First up in Xiamen, China, following a BRT bus fire accident last June, Tzu Chi volunteers have been there every step of the way to accompany the survivors and their families. Let's take a look.
我谢谢你们，真心的感恩你们，给我们儿子的加油，还有对他们的祝福嘛。
The one hugging Tzu Chi volunteers like old friends is 23-year-old Huang Rongjin, who suffered burns on 75% of her body from the BRT incident.
Being able to come home after that, I'm not afraid of any difficulties ahead.
Despite all that has happened, Huang's mother is simply glad her daughter has been able to walk away from the incident. Over the past 300 days, the volunteers' love and care has taught survivors the value of tolerance, a lesson Huang Rongjin has taken to heart.
Don't focus on the bad that has happened. Take more notice of those around me and do not over-dramatize my pain.
Gold medalist in high jump, Paralympian Ho Bin visited one BRT fire survivor with Tzu Chi volunteers to share his life story and to encourage the burn victim to look on the brighter side of life and continue with his treatments. Because of China's one-child policy, many of the parents were distraught beyond belief upon seeing their child hurt so badly. However, this tragedy also taught these children valuable lessons on counting their blessings and forgiveness.
In Pasig City of the Philippines, a recent fire destroyed several homes and left many families homeless. As residents have been relocated to temporary shelters, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived to hand out relief items and daily necessities to those in need. Situated to the east of the capital of the Philippines, Pasig City is densely populated, and thus a fire in this house led to the destruction of several other houses in the barangay.
We heard a large explosion, so we quickly returned home to have a look. It was already too late to save anything.
While waiting to receive relief items from Tzu Chi, residents also pray along with the volunteers for a speedy recovery.
At first, it was really heartbreaking to see that we had lost everything. However, Tzu Chi's relief items are a great help, and now I feel fortunate to be alive.
Joining Tzu Chi volunteers in sign language, this resident can't help but break down in tears upon thinking of her situation.
I will never forget what Tzu Chi Foundation has done for us. I truly thank you.
Following the blaze, many residents were left homeless and had to relocate to temporary shelters. There, Tzu Chi volunteers held an aid distribution to hand out daily necessities to those in need, thus bringing hope for the days ahead. In Tacloban of the Philippines, local residents are well on their way to recovering from Typhoon Haiyan thanks to Tzu Chi's rapid relief efforts. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's love and support, local residents began collecting recyclables in February of this year, not only helping to conserve the planet's resources, but also repaying Tzu Chi for its kindness.
Today's good weather is reflected in everyone's good spirits.
To be a Tzu Chi volunteer, the most important thing is to keep a smile on your face.
Clad in Tzu Chi's gray uniforms, a group of local volunteers from Tacloban are heading out to collect recyclables in their community. One of their stops is a house which acts as a neighborhood collection point.
Besides my own recyclables, my neighbors will bring theirs here. If it were not for Tzu Chi, Tacloban would not be where it is today, because Tzu Chi volunteers were the first to help us.
These houses, made of wooden boards and tin sheets, were rebuilt with the money given through Tzu Chi's Cash for Work program. And it is with gratitude that these residents reciprocate by donating their recyclables.
I collect these plastic bottles for recycling. That is my way of repaying Tzu Chi's kindness.
In February this year, the activity, which started with 4 people, has now expanded to 70 people covering 25 barangays. With arms filled with recyclables, these local volunteers are not only helping Mother Earth, but also reciprocating the love they have received from Tzu Chi.
Moving to Indonesia in the aftermath of a severe flooding in mid-January in Manado of North Sulawesi, Tzu Chi volunteers carried out cash work programs and free clinics to help the survivors. Recently, volunteers returned to the disaster area to provide residents with the necessary aid to rebuild. Moved by the volunteers' consistent love and care, many residents decided to join Tzu Chi's ranks.
Here at Tikala Baru village of Manado, Indonesia, massive flooding in January left a trail of destruction in this community built up against the riverbank.
It's so sad to see how the houses here are so damaged. That's why we are here, and we will do as much as possible to help them rebuild their homes.
Tzu Chi volunteers once again returned to care for flood survivors. Following the heavy rainfall, Tzu Chi volunteers immediately organized cash for work programs to help flood survivors rebuild and held free clinics to safeguard their health. For each trip, Jakarta Tzu Chi volunteers needed 4 hours to get to Manado. After a careful assessment of the residents' needs in the latest survey, volunteers decided to provide the necessary building materials to help survivors rebuild.
We have given residents here tools and building materials such as wood boards and bed sheets. Some houses are built on mountain slopes, so we will provide those residents with bricks to reinforce the structure of their homes.
Here at St. Cornelius Primary School, Tzu Chi volunteers are explaining their plan of repainting the school to teachers and students' parents.
Bersama dengan Yayasan Buddha Tzu Chi.
As Tzu Chi volunteers reach us, our teachers showed their greatest support. They think the volunteers' assistance is a gift from God.
Satu rahmat yang sungguh luar biasa bagi kita semua.
Inspired by Tzu Chi's love and care, many local residents decided to follow in the volunteers' footsteps. At the volunteer recruitment and training seminar, 137 Manado residents took part.
Tzu Chi volunteers showed us the beauty and greatness of humanity. They are a source of an inspiration for me and have made me want to join their ranks.
Here in Manado, Tzu Chi's seeds of love have taken roots and will flourish in the coming days and months ahead.
Last December, a storm struck Zimbabwe, affecting the lives of countless residents. Upon receiving the news, Tzu Chi volunteer Zhu Chi, who had just returned from a relief mission in the Philippines, along with a group of local volunteers, were mobilized to distribute relief items. To pay the love forward, despite living in poverty, many recipients happily donated to help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines.
Strong winds and heavy rainfall. This is unusual weather in Zimbabwe. The winds nearly blew the roof off Tzu Chi's prefabricated classrooms. Thankfully, the storm only lasted for about 40 minutes. However, it left the road to the nearby village extremely bumpy. The storm not only damaged brick houses, but also left those made out of wood planks and corrugated iron sheets completely destroyed. Currently, many local residents can only take shelter in tents or set up temporary shelters using plastic bags. After a thorough assessment, volunteers promised to provide locals with relief and possibly a project to rebuild their homes. Upon seeing the devastation caused by the storm, Tzu Chi volunteer Zhu Chi, who is here today to canvass for donations for those affected by Typhoon Haiyan, expressed his worry that locals may not be willing to donate due to their current situation.
Right now, we are encouraging residents in Zimbabwe to donate their love to help those affected by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines.
Despite living in the third poorest country in the world, regardless of age, everyone happily donates their love to help Haiyan survivors in the Philippines. Next, the volunteers arrive at the community in Pingtung to distribute relief items to 148 disabled residents.
I'm from Taiwan, really from Taiwan.
Other than handing out rice, cooking oil, and sugar, volunteers also seize the chance to explain how an eco-friendly blanket can be made from plastic bottles.
Not this one. Not this one. This one.
At the end of the distribution, despite the differences in race and faith, everyone sings together like one big family.
In our continuing reports on disaster preventions around Taiwan, next we meet Professor Ye Yilong from the National Pingtung University of Science and Technology, who have since the 9/21 earthquake helped set up disaster contingency plans in 21 flood-prone locations around Pingtung. Here's more.
要随时知道说我们可以在不同的地方用不同的工具测我们所需要的东西。
In school, he is a professor like any other.
He is a strict teacher, but a very humble person.
是很谦卑的一个人。
他对于我们算是蛮严格的。
In the eyes of his students, Professor Ye Yilong is a strict and hardworking teacher. Outside of class, he is a disaster prevention consultant for much of Pingtung County.
老师，你现在是不是下课了？
对，我现在下课。
现在要去哪里？
我们现在到达义乡公所。
Following alone, we arrive at Pingtung's Lai Township, where Professor Ye Yilong is holding a training course, as well as taking the opportunity to better understand the areas laid out.
来到这个地区大概来几次？
来了几次，因为灾害过，我们大概会进来了，灾害过就会进来了，所以大家不晓得。
已经算不清了，就对。
对，即使说这个没有发生事情，但是我们都会进来看看整个环境变化状况，怎么做环境调查。
Despite his age, Professor Ye walks every step of the mountainous community, as he knows that when it comes to setting up proper disaster prevention measures, earlier is always better.
Sometimes it is tiring, but when I think about how my efforts can help keep people safe, it is all worth it.
Working to keep others safe, this is what motivates Professor Ye to leave school grounds to travel around Pingtung, promoting disaster prevention. Seeing him delivering his message personally, residents are more willing to take his advice to heart.
Of course, we are thankful. It is rare to see someone like Professor Ye, who is willing to travel so far to help us with disaster prevention.
The following day, Professor Ye is off again, this time to Hanchun Township Sanjiao Borough, Pingtung's most southern borough and an area known for flooding.
Today I'm here to talk with the community and borough head on how to further implement community-wide disaster prevention measures. Last year, the measures were already put in place. This year, we want to iron out the details.
By his side is Professor Ye's son, Ye Zhicheng, who has long been following in his father's footsteps.
My father is always full of passion when it comes to this job. That has never changed. I'm used to it.
Although the father-son pair don't often talk when on the road, Ye Zhicheng knows the hard work his father has put into promoting disaster prevention.
I think he is pretty amazing. He's unlike other professors in that he personally travels to these communities to promote his message.
Over the past decade, Professor Ye has already helped set up disaster prevention SOPs in 21 communities. And with his passion and commitment, in the next decade, he looks to set up many more.
Staying in Taiwan in New Taipei City, we meet city volunteer Chen Bangji, who has been devoted to recycling work for some 18 years. But first, we join community residents and city volunteers in Pingtung as they gather after dinner not to watch TV, but to sort recyclables at different recycling points in their neighborhood. Prior to sorting recyclables at their nighttime recycling point, residents and Tzu Chi volunteers of this community in Pingtung gather for a simple exercise before sorting their garbage into different categories.
We hope through presenting ourselves this way to invite residents to offer a helping hand in sorting recyclables. Not far away on another street, another group of residents and volunteers are also safeguarding the planet. Tzu Chi volunteers accompany the residents to ensure they sort their garbage into the right categories. Through such events, residents have adopted good habits in their daily lives as well.
After adopting this habit of sorting recyclables, it actually feels weird if I don't make time for it. When you throw away garbage, you will naturally separate it into categories. This recycling program is great. There are fewer people littering and everyone collects recyclables to give to the Tzu Chi sisters.
Through reaching out to the community with environmental concepts, volunteers and residents alike all do their part in cleaning up the planet. Here at Banqiao of New Taipei City, Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Bangji listens intently to Master Zheng Yan's teachings.
What's most important about the Dharma is that it gives us a direction in cultivating ourselves so that we can practice it in our daily lives.
Next, changing into his blue and white uniform, Chen is now putting the ideals he has gained into practice. Taking the master's words to heart, Chen Bangji has been sorting recyclables for 18 years. Regardless of its smell or condition, any garbage is a treasure to Chen as he works diligently loading them onto the truck.
If we tie it well, it won't loosen. We have collected recyclables from 5 locations. After this stop, we are heading back to the recycling station. If we can recycle the paper and cardboard, then fewer trees will be cut. When we cut fewer trees, the soil and water will be preserved, thus minimizing the number of disasters.
In the days ahead, Chen Bangji hopes to continue safeguarding the planet along with his fellow volunteers. To encourage members of the public in Taiwan to live a healthier lifestyle, staff members of the Tzu Chi Foundation and Tzu Chi volunteers visited residents in Hualien and Taidong to promote the concept of replacing liquor with tea. Volunteers and foundation staff also handed out tea bags and reusable water bottles to help residents keep up the practice in their everyday life.
Today, Tzu Chi volunteers and staff members of the Tzu Chi Foundation are here at a tribal village in Taidong's Yanping Township to promote the concept of replacing liquor with tea.
We need to teach our tribal villagers that many chronic diseases, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, liver disease, and gout, are all alcohol-related. Once they have learned the message, they will be able to enjoy a healthier and happier life.
After tasting tea made by Tzu Chi volunteers, several participants vowed to join Tzu Chi's Drink Tea, Not Alcohol campaign.
Before I was an alcoholic and slept on neighbors' couches or in corridors, it's never too late to change. Today, I want to thank Tzu Chi and Master Zheng Yan. If they told us these concepts 30 years ago, I would definitely have lived healthier.
At Fushi Village in Hualien, Tzu Chi's message was also well received.
Besides the seniors in the village, more importantly, youngsters should hear of these messages so that they can practice a healthy lifestyle before it's too late.
At the end of the day, volunteers and foundation staff give the participants with tea bags and reusable water bottles, hoping they will put into practice what they have learned here today.
As Malaysia continues to battle droughts, teachers of the Tzu Chi Penang Kindergarten's after-school program organized a class to teach their students the importance of cherishing all resources and ways to conserve water.
小娟姐，你知道你的水要用多少个？要怎样用吗？
你要用来做什么？哈，
洗碗，
然后
从大便，洗手。
A bucket of water that can only flush the toilet once. However, this is the amount of water these students have for the whole day.
跟阿飞一样多啊，所以你只剩下这么一点点水哈，你要用到下午哦。
Today, students at the Tzu Chi Kindergarten's after-school program are learning of the importance of cherishing water. However,
你是这样子洗的，你的那个呢脏脏，不可以的。
under the guidance of their teachers, students finally learn how to use their water wisely.
We need to use the red bucket to take out the amount of water needed and then pour it into my bowl. Next, I will walk over to the washing bucket to wash it.
那边洗我的碗。
你看他很珍惜他水，所以他走得很慢，有吗？
Each bucket of water was fetched by the kindergarteners the day before. Despite the heavy weight of the buckets, this little boy is determined to finish his task.
辛不辛苦？
很辛苦，
很辛苦哈。为什么你还要拿呢？你不要拿啦。
不要了。
不要，为什么不要？
因为明天没有刷牙。
哦，如果辛苦啊。
After experiencing the hardship they have to go through to fetch a bucket of water, students all vow to protect and cherish the resources around them.
While students from the Madras Christian College in India visited Malaysia, they also stopped by at the Penanjing Siho and the Tzu Chi Dialysis Center to learn of the organization's charitable efforts in the country. Let's take a look.
Hands a day, bamboo bags, the era of bamboo bags. Without the 30 housewives, there will be no Tzu Chi actually. So we should thank them.
These students from India are here in Malaysia to learn from its multi-ethnic society and broad tolerance for different religious groups. At the Jinsi Hall in Penang, they also witness how one Buddhist group is using love to change the world one heart at a time.
We are very happy that we are able to come to your organization, and that I think we are getting a lot of new ideas and new models and healthy models to work with communities.
The students also visit the nearby Tzu Chi Dialysis Center, where patients explain their story and how they turn from receivers to givers.
So which is like really amazing to see the center, dialysis center, which the Tzu Chi is doing a great job, and all of them are provided freely.
Using love to overcome differences in cultural, race and faith, this is the message that these students are taking home after spending the day with Tzu Chi.
Back to China at the end of the show, where Sichuan Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for senior residents at Hanwang's nursing home for many years. Recently, these seniors collected recyclables to donate to Tzu Chi in hopes of giving a little to help those in greater need. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.